In this video, we will look at the basic mechanics of how a Google search works. We will look at a few useful tools that Google provides besides the search function, and we will talk about pros and cons of using Google for academic research projects. I always ask students where they start when they search for anything, and after an awkward moment, someone will say Google, like they're saying a dirty word in the library. Of course you start with Google. It makes sense to start with any web search engine, and Google has become synonymous with searching. It's quick, it's easy, it's readily available, and it just makes sense to start searching there. But for many students, their entire research process relies on one Google search. Now, I know it's hard to imagine, but there is information out there that even Google can't reach, or at least not yet. And for students who don't move beyond a basic web search, frankly, they're missing out. So first, it's important to understand what a Google search actually is and does. The Google search engine is a massive index. An example of an index is a phone book, a hashtag, an office directory, or an academic database. The index is a list of keywords which identify a unique record. Indices make it faster to find specific records, just like the table of contents at the beginning of a book. According to Google, there are 3 parts to generating your search results. The first step is to crawl a website. Google's name for these web crawling bits of code is spiders. These spiders are bits of self-learning software which check links and find bits of info like how recently the website has been updated and which links are active or broken and can determine when the site should be crawled again in the future. Spiders search the internet for new pages and add them to a list of known pages. Some pages are known because Google has crawled them before, while others are found through links from other web pages. Some websites are discovered when the owner asks Google to crawl a website, or a host like Weebly, Wix, or Blogger asks Google to crawl it. Once the website has been discovered, Google indexes the site. An index is like a filing cabinet that orders and keeps track of all the files inside. Google analyzes all the content on a web page in order to organize that information within those indexes. Words, photo tags, headlines, and tons of other information that will help Google understand how to categorize the content of each page and post is collected by the crawlers. A web page is added to a different index for every word the web page contains. Google uses all this information to learn what this site is about, which can also add context to the newly indexed keywords. Finally, the last step is serving and ranking. When you type something into the search box, Google gives you back a list of results that best match what you're looking for. So, what helps make sites rise to the top of the list? Again, each index the information gets pulled from can help provide context for the information the site contains. And sites that are fast and user-friendly, up-to-date, and use your keywords multiple times on multiple pages will help content rise to the top of the results list. Site traffic, as well as your physical location and search history, can also have an impact on what results you get and what order they appear in. Okay, so Google is a great tool to get information quickly and easily for sure. But like any tool, Google has positives and negatives and shouldn't be used for everything. Of course, if you're looking for real-world services and directions, etc., Google is the tool to use, but for our purposes, we're mostly discussing research and academic endeavors. So for research, of course, the 3 key areas that a search engine like this is built for are ease of use, speed, and real-time information. We've already mentioned how easy it is to use Google, but then there's the speed with which it provides information and the amount of information that it does provide, which are both pretty mind-boggling. These are all good reasons to use this or any search engine. Seriously. The other thing is how timely the information is. It feels like Google can provide you resources that were published in the same minute you conducted your search. It's that fast. For real-time, in-the-moment news, updates, and the conversations swirling around any given topic or event, you can be in the know the same as the people who are actually there, which is pretty impressive. But there are some drawbacks. Remember how serving and ranking items can be based on your physical location and your own search history? At the moment, these are called search bubbles, and Google specifically is aware of them and acknowledges them. A search bubble uses your location and things that people in your area have searched, as well as your own history, and will rank pages based off of those indicators. This means there's a possibility for searches done by a student in California or Georgia, which could get completely different results than a student searching in the same things in Nebraska, which could be a big problem. What's more, you don't necessarily have a great way to see what kinds of information you're missing out on. You're stuck in a bubble. So with all that in mind, how do we use Google as a search tool? As a librarian, I'm all about using tools which make searching fast and easy. Often, I have students visit my office and then begin discussing a topic I have no knowledge of, so to catch up quickly, I Google it. I don't need an in-depth scholarly understanding of the topic at hand in order to work with the student, but I do need to know key editorial information, or the who, what, where, when type of questions. As you start your research, one of the major issues students have is, what am I even going to do my research on? And simply Googling information about your prospective topics is a great way to see what's out there and what is the conversation happening around this topic at this moment. These are perfect ways to engage search engines to begin your research. To go a little further and increase its academic use, Google has rolled out two tools, one called Google Scholar and the other called Google Books. First, we'll look at Google Books, which is a service that searches full text of books and magazines that Google has scanned and indexed. These books are provided by the publishers or authors and other entities which allow them to be viewed, read, and completely searched. Google Books is a good way to find out information and often inspect elements of the book without needing to hunt down a physical copy. Of course, there are some limitations with collections of what have been scanned and titles that are readily available, and issues with accuracy with which the scanned pages return results. But this is still a good way to see some books that are more difficult to find or get a physical copy of. It's a way also to check inside of certain books and check the index, page numbers, or even sources, which can be helpful when researching. Google Scholar is also a very popular choice, which is very similar to Google Books or other online databases and is focused on scholarly articles. Again, the search can be limited or can result in a lot of dead ends where all you get is the abstract before you hit a paywall. However, just like Google Books, I encourage this as a jump-off point or starting point. It's good if you're just trying to see what's actually out there. Google Scholar does have some really nice features, one of which is connecting your school academic library resources to your Google Scholar search. From the Google Scholar page, we'll simply click on the hamburger menu in the top left corner and select Settings. On the Settings page, we'll click Library Links. Once on this page, we'll search Concordia University, Nebraska, Concordia, or CUNE. Once you find it, you can save the selection. Now, when you do a search and it pulls a resource from one of our databases, a link will be provided so you can access it directly, which is pretty cool. So with the basic Google search, the Google Books, or Google Scholar, if you find resources on Google but can't access them fully, you can search them in the CUNE database or order them through interlibrary loan. Both of those processes are covered in different modules. And that's it. Now we know how Google search works, we know how Google gives us results, and what we can do with them. Again, Google isn't a bad first step, but don't let it be your only step.